Hello, and welcome back to our Mind Gym podcast, which as of tonight is now being rebranded as the Team Ferris Pod, because as you can see, we now have a new host with us. So, welcome, Dean.
Thank you.
To your first podcast.
It is.
Well, your first podcast that you run. You've done a few interviews.
I've done some interviews, not our very own podcast, though. So very cool.
Yes, very cool. So we are excited to be bringing you this. As you know, I was running one a little while ago, and we did put that on pause because this guy was pretty busy racing.
Yes, it was a really busy year. So I signed with Honda last year in October, and well, we're a year down the track now. So, and it just felt like we never stopped with the racing. It was just flat bickies the whole time. Probably the craziest, busiest year we've had racing in my whole career. So,
yeah, up until this year, most of the time we were kind of pretty efficient, but this year we had to do a lot of extra testing and things like that. So it actually took a lot of time on both our behalf. And one of the things, pretty much it got to the point where we were like, we need to do something. We've got too much going on. There's too many things going here, there, and everywhere. So really, the podcast, as much as I love doing it, did have to get put on hold. But we're excited to be back.
It was same with YouTube as well. I wanted to do YouTube throughout the year, but we just got too crazy busy with the racing and all the demands that come with that. So we put it on hold as well, and we just went racing. Yeah.
So here we are back. We have our YouTube channel back up and running, which is also Team Ferris, and now we have the Team Ferris Pod. So we're really excited to bring this back. Now, our circumstances have changed a lot since the previous podcast was created, but the vision still really stands the same. And so when I first originally created our Mind Gym podcast, the idea of it was to be able to share with a greater audience the lessons that life teaches us about motocross and what motocross teaches us about life. Because when I stop and think about it, like it just, and we have this conversation quite a lot, just how much my whole world shifted when Dean come back into my life. And when I left the traditional 9-to-5 grind to be a part of motocross. And just the funny story that I probably have never shared on here on my socials is that right before I quit my job to come and move in with Dean and to help him with his racing and be a part of that program, I was working in banking and I was climbing up the corporate ladder, and pretty much I had applied for a promotion in the city, and it kind of come to a point where they pretty much said, you tick all the boxes, you have all the criteria, but you don't have enough life experience. And I literally missed out on the job promotion because not enough life experience, because I'd started in the bank at 15 and that was all I'd done. I just worked my way up and hustled in there. And so pretty much when they said, no, sorry, not enough life experience, and then the opportunity came up with Dean to leave that position, I originally was only taking a 1-year career break to get life experience to come back and, climb the corporate ladder. And here we are, 7 years later, and I never went back.
Yep. So, crazy journey. I remember you being devastated that you were leaving your job.
Yeah.
To come and help me. And I remember thinking, gosh, why would you be devastated to leave a 9-to-5? But anyway, that was just my perspective at the time.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we talk about quite often is, ever since Dean was really young, he just always did what he loved, where I think for a lot of us, instead of doing that or pursuing those dreams and goals, we end up pursuing what's convenient or what we fall into. So I actually fell into banking literally because my dad is like a fire extinguisher guy. He goes to all the different shops and services have fire safety equipment, and he was servicing the bank one day, and basically they were looking for a new school-based trainee, and they just literally asked my dad, how old's your daughter now? Would she be interested, because we need a new school-based trainee? And Dad come home one day and said, hey, do you want to do banking? And I went, I don't know, do I? And he goes, oh, it'd be a good job. So I fell into that, and then I was there for 10 years.
Yep. Crazy, eh?
So literally, that was kind of what it was and how it all happened. And so, yeah, pretty much now, like I said,
But 7 years down the track, you've got a little bit more life experience by leaving the bank.
I do. And yeah, blew my mind, actually, just the whole world that was out there that I'd never even opened my eyes to, because I was so caught up in the grind, in just a career, in getting a job, and so tunnel vision. I've got a job, bought a house, got a dog, bought another house, and just, I don't know, that was what you did. I never stopped to ask the question until Dean pulled me out of it. And
we often have conversations about this, and Renae's always like, man, I just couldn't see the forest for the trees. I was just working away, slaving away, doing this, doing that, got the house because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And just getting on with it.
Yeah.
And then, but to me, from the outside, I guess it's just a little different what I was doing in motocross. It was very outside the box, making a living racing or doing sport or doing whatever you want to do. So I get that everyone, strives for a house and, wants a pay rise or to climb up the ladder. Definitely wasn't for me. But I could kind of see why people would do that. But no.
I think the biggest thing for me though was that I didn't know any different. I didn't.
Oh, and honestly, I didn't know any different either. It's just I was very lucky that I was chasing my dreams, and that happened to be motocross and sport, and something that wasn't a 9-to-5, just doing exactly what I loved. And then I don't know, at some point when when you moved in with me and we're cruising along, and we started, we've had a few different ventures along the way, haven't we? Like, we're like, hey, let's do real estate investing, and we went down that route.
Tried that,
and that was quite fun. It was consuming though for us. Quite a lot of work that goes into it, and we decided to pull out of that after 4 years or something like that. Just because it was taking us away from motocross, because that was really the thing that we were focused on at the time. We're like, hey, we can't be driving around having meetings with real estate agents.
It was quite time consuming.
So that was one of our first business ventures, I think, outside motocross.
It was. And I forget how we even ended up on this tangent, but that was because it was the vision for this podcast. And so moving back to that, the vision for this podcast is to just share with you guys, what is possible, and start, and I guess this is probably really dear to my heart, because I keep having these flashbacks to when I was so closed-minded and so caught up in how things were always done, in, just following the script, that I had no idea how extraordinary life could be, and how many opportunities and possibilities were staring me in the face, but I couldn't see them because I was so blinded. And so pretty much, really, Dean and I live quite an extraordinary life these days, relative to standards. And honestly, for a couple of ordinary kids who grew up in small towns, low socioeconomic environments, to do what we do and to have the life that we have, is really quite extraordinary when we stop and look at it. For us now, it's become our normal. And however, when we stopped and reflect on it, and I look back at where I was in the trajectory of my life, it has become really important to me to bring this out and, to share what Dean brought into my life and introduced to me, and then what we've been able to compound that together, combining our skills and our knowledge, and I guess both our drive to want to have more and do more and create more, and it's just kind of exploded. If you want to say that. The vision for the podcast, for those of you listening along and who want to follow along each week, because we will be doing these every Wednesday, they'll be coming out, so we'll be filming them over Tuesday night after our kids go to bed. And I guess we're going to be talking about everything. We're going to be talking about experiences in our life and storytelling, and lots of lessons that we learn along the way, with this and that, and a lot of things correlate over to some of our business ventures. We're going to be chit-chatting about kind of anything as we're going. And I think, one of the things I love so much about our relationship and what we've been able to do together is, so rewinding back, and some of you might have heard this in an earlier podcast, but when Dean had his crash in 2016 at Wanneroo, and I really started delving deep into the mindset and the inner mental games of racing, and I started to become a real big part of his career, I started realizing just how much motocross teaches you about life, and how much life skills you're actually learning through motocross. And I was just telling someone the other day, that, I did full 12 years of uni. 12 years of school, high school. I did 6 years at uni, did a business and finance and management leadership degree. Plus had my 10 years banking experience. And when we went into business for the first time, I actually learned more about business from Dean, who dropped out of high school after year 10 and put all his eggs in the basket of motocross. So when I hear a lot of parents say, or young kids say, oh, you need to have this backup plan. You need to go get a trade. You need to do this. You need to do that. And rushing and pushing them into these things. I guess I'm kind of on the fence now where I'm like, old Renae would have been like, yeah, have a backup plan. That's great. But now knowing what I know and knowing just how much Dean got out of motocross and his journey there, I think, why are we pushing these kids in? I was just telling you the other day, I was at Woolworths and the checkout girl was telling me that she was in her last year at high school and she was just about to go to uni and she was going to go study OT. And I said, oh yeah, great. Why, what's the drive? Why are you studying OT? Oh, well, I was looking at the options and that sounded like the best one.
Yeah.
And
well, you can't blame everyone for, wanting to get a trade. That's kind of what you do. It's what your father did. It's what his father did. But we're not in the industrial era anymore.
No.
We've got information at our fingertips. We hold our phone all day. We can download programs, listen to audio books from people that have been there and done it. You know what I mean? And you can find information on Google, whether it's right or wrong.
Yep.
It's just available. You know what I mean? So learning a different skill is coming a lot quicker rather than going through an apprenticeship for 4 years, working under someone and just getting knowledge from one person. You can gather knowledge from anywhere.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky throughout my motocross career just to be surrounded by entrepreneurial people.
Yeah.
So a lot of business people that are running teams or sponsors or this or that. And I kind of have a little bit of interest in a lot of things. So I'd always ask them what they do, how it works. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Yeah. Can you tell me more? And it was just an interest of mine. I didn't know that I was learning things along the way as I was traveling around the world. And then, I'm still doing it. I still try to gather information about kind of little things that interest me. So very, very lucky, very fortunate in that space. And I know that growing up, I was always not just interested in everything, but my parents also taught me to, ask questions, listen. You never know what you might find. Definitely, I didn't grow up in a box and my parents weren't like, you need to go do this, you need to go do that. They actually taught me that, hey, you can do anything you want to do in your life. You just have to put your mind to it. And I took that literal and started looking around. I'm like, I want to race motocross. But, along the way, and especially in the last 6-7 years that we've been together, doing business ventures together, we're always like looking around, hey, what can we do on the side as a side hustle, or what interests us? And we just go into that space. So when we were into real estate, we went to a friend of ours that was
into real estate
and doing really, really well. So reached out to him, be like, hey, dude, can you tell us? So he just invited us along and we got chit-chatting for a whole afternoon or a day or something. He took us around and we learned a lot about commercial real estate that way.
Yeah.
So learning things, it's not by the book anymore. You can.
You definitely can. I think the biggest message that we're trying to convey here and that we want to share throughout our podcast is just the value of life experience and the value of listening and learning from other people. And it's really ironic that I even say this because this was not how I grew up. This was not how I was. I was pretty much books. I was very academic. I was very closed-minded.
She still is very academic.
I still am quite academic, but I'm really opening my mind now these days to learning from people. And honestly, it blows me away when you just slow down and listen, the incredible information that you can get from people. And so what we want to do is obviously share our life experiences, because now our whole life is based around building life experiences. But also sharing with you the life experiences and life lessons that we get from the incredible people that we are meeting all the time. And hopefully we might even bring someone as guests, some of the people that we know and meet, and start introducing them, because you know, I know it's a pretty cliche that you become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, but I have absolutely found that to be true. Like, hands down. I don't know what you want to say on that as well, but just your environment
I
shapes
definitely
you so much.
I definitely think it's true. Well, things that can be measured, like for instance, when you're hanging around, fit people, man, you really want to be fit. You know, you're hanging around fit people that are eating good, they're not drinking,
they're exercising
every day, they're talking about training, talking about getting better, talking about being fitter, talking about being healthier. So naturally, you're like, oh wow, you just start thinking about that.
Yeah.
And you start living that environment. And I've been lucky to be in that environment through my whole career. And it really does pay off.
Well,
that's for sure.
I'm fitter, a lot fitter than I was pre us getting together. And here's the ironic thing, before we got together, I was classified the fit one, and I went to the gym maybe once or twice a week, was about 6 or 7 kilos heavier than I am right now, and just really wasn't that fit. I just was naturally kind of skinny, and had a pretty good metabolism. But because I was around just your typical office workers and things like that, and people that didn't necessarily value their health or value working out. I was the fit girl, and then I moved in with a professional athlete who was extremely elite at what he did, and then was chucked in a house full of other athletes when they would come and visit, and I just was like, okay, I'm not fit.
Yeah.
And quickly, and naturally now it's become such a habit. Like now a lot of people know, through, especially those that follow me on Instagram, know that I do train every day. Probably more for my mental health than anything for Dean's mental health, because I'm much nicer when I work out.
Yeah, it's good for you to blow off some steam early in the morning, and then it sets us up for a good day. So I'm always cracking the whip in the morning for her to get outside and do some training.
Yes. Although, in saying that, I don't actually need that much whip cracking these days, because I actually just love it. So some mornings I'm even up before Dean, because I love that boost now in the morning, and it's become an intrinsic value of mine. And the funny thing is, actually, health has just become so much higher on my values and so much more important to me since being with Dean, because obviously to be an elite athlete, health was so important for you.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, I mean, without that, you are not an elite athlete.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think another thing we wanted to talk about was wrapping up with the racing this year, and
just giving you guys a bit of an update as to where we're at and what led to the retirement and the decision, because I'm sure that's a question on so many of your minds. Why did we come back just for 1 year? Why did Dean stop racing? So
you might have already read why I retired, but it's really hard to share on a social media post some details. But for instance, we'll go back a year, a little bit over a year. So what had happened, I retired because I broke my back, and I thought, I was unsure about the sport, where it was going. 6 months after a back injury, I still wasn't that healthy. My back wasn't that strong. I thought it was all over, because I'd had a lot of injuries in my career, broken legs, broken bones, broken arms, whatever. And, kind of 6 weeks later, you're feeling pretty good, and you're going to get on the bike soon. But that definitely didn't happen after breaking my back. So, and it was pretty serious. I was broken in half like a pretzel. I had 10 broken ribs, punctured lung, 4 fractured vertebrae, like smashed to pieces. So they had to fuse muscle. Anyway, enough of that. But I don't know. So we decided to start traveling, right?
Well, kind of. First, we after he broke his back, things were.
Well, long story short,
because
we're talking about the racing wrapping up.
Yes.
So we did a lot of things in the interim.
We tried to do a couple of businesses that didn't really work out how we wanted to.
Well, they kind of did. It's just that they didn't align at the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we ended up traveling, and we got an opportunity to go to Alice Springs, be a part of this movie, and we ended up on 125, 2 strokes for the movie.
Yes.
Got an opportunity.
For those who missed it, we were stunt doubles for a TV show called Mavericks, which you can watch on ABC iView and Stan or Netflix around the rest of the world.
So we had just started traveling, and we got a call to come and do this movie thing. I hadn't even ridden a bike. I didn't even know if I'd be strong enough to ride a 125. That's kind of, well, I'd say how fragile I felt. So we went out there.
So we said yes and thought we'd work it out after.
We said yes, and I remember being pretty nervous on my first day because I was like, oh gosh, I hope I can have the strength to hang on to a 125. And in the movie scenes, you only got to ride at about 20% pace, right? So, but anyway, it turned out all right, and we just rode a tiny bit each day, and my back started feeling better and better. It was almost like it was medicine for me, because I was really suffering with a lot of pain up until then, and this is like 10 months or a year after the accident.
Speaking of which, this is really interesting, actually, probably for our audience to hear, is that up until that point, Dean the doctors had told him that he would have pain forever. And he was complaining to me quite a lot just about just niggly pains. And after the first day back on the bike, he woke up the next morning and the first thing he said to me is, Renae, the pain's gone. And that was really eye-opening. I don't know if doctors are going to start prescribing riding as medicine, but for Dean it seemed to be the case. Yeah,
it was crazy. And I guess in the back of my mind I started thinking, wow, is this a sign? Should I race again? And anyway, so long story short, we're out at Alice Springs, and naturally you go down the Fink track and back. I was lucky enough to get on the tour with the guys out there from Outback Motorcycles tour. Had an awesome time, but after that, I'm like, oh, wow, I wonder if I can get strong enough or fit enough to do the Fink one day. And then I was thinking, if I'm having these crazy thoughts about doing 190 k's an hour down a dirt track with trees, why don't I just go back and race motocross?
Because, mind you, every day while we're in the caravan at the movie set, in between, Dean was watching the Prime X. Anytime it was on, watching racing. So I could tell that he wasn't quite finished, or he didn't want to finish the way that it finished.
So anyway, after a brief conversation for about 30 seconds, I decided to I'm going to make a comeback to race. After the movie set, we hightailed it straight back to our home in New South Wales. We're only there for a week before the border restrictions started kicking in.
Yes.
We ended up in Queensland. KTM gave me a 450, and I started practicing and trying to get fit. And no kidding, I had about 8 hours on that bike, and I went to the Queensland titles at Mackay. Just, to me, that's straight off the couch. I didn't even have I just had a rough setting from Sean from Raceline. Well, he was Raceline at the time. And I just went there, rocked up on a stocker, and was straight back on the pace with Todd and Kirk.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome, actually. And from that, pretty much got a ride with Honda. Long story short, ended up being Honda. And I got bikes last October. Now, I thought maybe I'll do a year or two, wanted to win a championship or two. That would be pretty cool. But as it turned out, it was a really, really challenging year for both of us. It didn't really go smooth at all, I would say. I ended up with an injury in the start of January, and then I ended up with niggling injuries pretty much the whole way through, or at least the first half of the season. Rib injuries, kind of knee, shoulders. I couldn't.
Which is so out of character, because as I've shared here before, once Dean worked out a while ago, pretty much he'd stopped crashing, and it was incredible. His mindset was in a whole different place, and the crashes were over, and so we weren't even worried about it. But unfortunately, Dean had a lot of trouble gelling with the bike, and
for me it was a real shock to try to set the bike up how I needed it to be, and it was a lot of work. And I was just having like little front end tucks here and there, and dabbing your knee, hitting your shoulder. I did have some massive crashes, I'd say.
Yeah, there was a couple in between, in the middle.
But man, I couldn't go a day without falling over, which was really frustrating. Ended up with a few injuries along the way, which kind of held me back from even more testing. Anyhow, so very challenging year. Spent a lot of time, just every day we were testing.
Yeah.
Even if it was just Renae and I at the track. Look, I had some really good people at Honda and people that were collaborating with Honda helping me, but just trying to get me comfortable and where I needed the motorcycle to be was really challenging. So obviously we got it to a pretty good point. Like I did a lot of winning this year, but man, even going into the last rounds, it was every day, do the motos in between testing, and it was just exhausting. It was honestly, I was so fried. I was like, holy man, I put in so well. I mean, I put in so much effort every year, but it was
to add the testing on top of it,
and it just never stopped. It just kept going, and on top of that, we couldn't actually be based at our home in Kyogle because the weather was so crazy. It just did not stop raining all year. We were in the caravan on the road, going from place to place to place, to track to track to track, and I guess
it just was messy.
A bunch of things just wore down on me, and then I remember just the times that I did crash or I did get hurt. I was like, man, why am I doing this? I don't need to be hitting the ground like this, because I mean, there's been years go by, hey, that I don't even crash one single time through practice.
Yeah, there was at least, I reckon, 14 months there where Dean was riding three or four times a week and never even hit the ground.
Yeah, and I was going quite fast
and riding at his prime. And I think that's such, it was so once again, a motocross lesson in life is just so interesting how, you know, it's so important for our ducks to line up, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, the whole idea of coming back and racing is, one, I didn't feel like I was done. And look, I wanted to finish on my own terms, whether I get 2 or 3 years or 1 year out of myself. It turned out being just one single year. So that was a contributing factor. And I guess the other one was that I wanted to try to be better than I was as well along the way. So had a few different things. Was another reason.
I think the big thing that you said to me was that you wanted to do it on your terms and know, even just prove to yourself that you could actually come back.
Yeah, that's true. I actually
be competitive, because, you know, after such a big injury.
I'm not one for sob stories, and I didn't want that to be my story, that I retired because I broke my back. And when I worked out that I could be strong enough to do it, I was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to show I can come back and be competitive and try to win this championship. I mean, it didn't work out, but I was definitely at the front a lot.
We got close, we
got close, you know, and I'm still quite proud of you know, everything from what happened. It was still some decent races in there. I clocked up another 3 overalls and another 8 moto wins, which I can put on the tally, which is also cool. But ultimately, it would have been nice to be champion, but there's still a lot of lessons that even come out of that. And I guess one of the benefits is that it was so challenging that I'm happy to retire and because I've had enough.
Even without that, though, you know, when we stopped and looked at it, you know, rather than, you know, because yes, it was challenging. You know, I'm definitely not denying that. But I think the one thing that really stood out for me this year was that every time that Dean would be like, yes, this is good, and he'd start getting that, like, you know, probably I want to race forever, it's never going to end. As soon as he'd start getting on that roll, he would end up on the ground, or the bike would all of a sudden, you know, the settings wouldn't gel again, or something would fall apart, something that appeared completely unlucky or out of our control. And then the moment he got back on, no, this is my last year, I'm coming back to do what I said I was going to do and focus on that, all of a sudden, when he was focused on the process, he just rode amazingly, and it was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yes. I didn't feel like the riding was that great. It was okay. But I feel like there's times where I knew I was going to finish, and I still didn't ride that good. But it, you know, for whatever reason, it was difficult. That's for sure. So anyway, some positives that come out of that is, because we were traveling, and I guess we were just coaching on the weekends. We had that movie gig
originally.
That was how we were going to travel, right? This time, because we come back, we set up the pressure washing business again in the background, which we've, you know, met a guy that we're good mates with now. He's doing that with us. Cool little project. But we also come across another business that would set us up even better for retirement.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that was really important to us coming back, was that when Dean had his crash and, you know, kind of pretty much retired on the spot last time, we didn't have a backup plan. We were kind of up shit creek without a paddle, and were pretty like unprepared, really. And so we kind of rushed and made decisions, and they didn't really work. We weren't really working together, and everything was just kind of falling apart around us. So this time around, we really wanted to come up with, you know, a business that we could do together, because we find that we actually work better together. We have very complementary skills. Our pretty much what I'm not good at, Dean is, and what he's not good at, I am. So that very much helps. And we actually just both really enjoy being with each other, hanging out with each other, and being with the kids as well. And that's something else that was really important for me, is that, you know, when I was young, my parents separated when I was quite young. And I remember as a kid just always wanting to have my family all in one place. And so now I literally have created a life where my family's all in one place. So with both mum and dad home and the kids, and we get to literally build a life around being together and doing things together. So we come across a business model towards the end of last year, and then pretty much around the same time that Dean signed his contract. And it was something that I could start pursuing and working out during the year to see if it was going to be, you know, viable. Yeah. And it turned out to be incredible. So yeah, it pretty much ticked all of the boxes.
Which was a lot for me, yeah, because you know, pretty much since I left school, I've always found a way to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
To the T. All right. So retiring from motocross and getting a job was hardly on the list of things to do for me. So
yeah,
to do that, yeah, we had a long list of things a business model had to tick, and we found it.
Yeah. So one of the big things for Dean was he wanted a bit of a tangible product, because he wanted it to not be capped by service or hours or things like that. And the one thing that we know about product distribution is that it's kind of unlimited to how many you make, right? And then the other thing for me was I really enjoy the coaching and mentorship that I've been doing over the last few years. I loved that piece. So I wanted that to somehow be incorporated into it. And also we really wanted to be able to get paid to have fun. Pretty much. Yeah. We wanted to get paid to just keep our lifestyle and to explore and see, and we wanted to teach our girls life experience and teach them through travel and education, as opposed to sending them off to school, because we are homeschooling our kids and traveling. So we wanted a business model that would fit that. We also wanted to be able to work whenever we wanted, and not just at a certain time.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a big thing, because, you know, sometimes you're really great to work in the evening and other times you're really great to work in the morning. So we wanted it to be flexible.
Yeah, just so flexible so we can do things at certain times and catch up with people, and you know, just be super duper wherever we need to be.
Wherever we want to be.
Super duper flexible.
Yeah. So, and we wanted to make a lot of money, because, well, why wouldn't you? Yeah. We love, not that we really have any massive material goals, but for us, money means options. Money means the ability to do what we want when we want. You know, if we all of a sudden want to fly somewhere and go do something, we can. And so pretty much all of those things,
or make investments, or like that as well.
You know, if the kids want something as they get older, and when they want to pursue their dreams, you know, and that probably comes as well a bit from your story, as when Dean was younger, his family didn't necessarily have the money to be able to throw a heap at motocross to give him some of the opportunities that some of these young guys are getting now at an earlier age. And so for us, we wanted to be able to build that wealth to be able to provide that for our kids. And so pretty much what we have done is we have partnered up with a couple of companies from around the world that have allowed us to build a business in affiliate marketing. And for those of you who aren't familiar with affiliate marketing, in simple terms, basically what it means is that we kind of act as intermediaries, and we connect through promoting building our personal brand, through hanging out. We basically attract interested buyers and distributors for our partnered products and business opportunities that we've associated ourselves with. And then pretty much our job is to just connect them. And then we earn commissions now through any sales made between them. So really, really awesome. We'll share some more about that over the, just in conversation, because that's our life now. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. And one of the really great things about now us building a personal brand is that it's I don't know, I think the hardest thing for me to get my head around it has been that actually this is real. Like, we spoke about it before we knew that this was an option. And we're like, oh my God, how cool would it be to just do what you want to do and get paid for it, or hang out with your kids and get paid for it. And then literally that's this business model.
Yeah. But we've been lucky. We've always been able to do that, because while we were doing motocross, that's exactly what we wanted to do. Renae was in on it. The whole family was in on it.
Yes.
Got to travel around and have the whole family with us, the kids with us the whole time, which was cool.
Yeah.
I guess another reason for me to retire is, well, Renae found this business model, which gave us a really good out and a really good option. But while the kids were with me all the time, it was getting to the point where, well, I wouldn't get to the point, but we'll go to the track and there was a lot of work that needed to be done, and we just needed the kids.
The kids just kind of got bored.
Yeah, they got a bit bored, and it was kind of killing me. You know what I mean? I was like, man, we're putting their life aside just so I can put in. But it was all around the same time where I'm like, I've kind of had enough. So it made sense.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is, I was there with the girls, but I was busy working, and then would get home and I was busy training, and I was washing my bike and packing the van and working on the bike and getting everything organized.
He was around, but he wasn't really able to be with them.
Yeah. I didn't get to hang out with them as much as I am now, or would like to at the time. So yeah. With this opportunity, I can be with them all day if I want to. Of course, a little bit of work needs to be done. But
a little bit of extra stuff that the kids can't get involved in. But most of the things that we're doing within this space, the kids can 100% be a part of. And that's so amazing for us. And again, something that we just want to let people know, like, these options exist. Like, we are not special to find this. Like, we've met some incredible people that are doing this space, and the greatest thing is they're just all ordinary people. And so, we don't have any special advantage because Dean's an ex-pro athlete. Nothing like that. We are just coming into this space as beginners. We are really excited to bring you guys along for the journey, to watch us grow, because just as we went from beginner motorbike riders to Dean at the top of his game, we now intend to do the same within this business space and really build an empire for within this model. And the great thing, one of the greatest things I think as well, is the actual products and business opportunities that we've partnered with are incredible. And I don't want this podcast to sound like a sales pitch, because that's certainly not what we built, what we made this for. But yeah, the products that we have partnered with are incredible for motocross athletes. In fact, one of the main product that we have partnered with, Dean's often said, how he wishes he had found it earlier in his career. He's just helping our daughter here has got a bit of an itchy. She got bitten today, I think, a little bit
by some midgies.
So he's just helping her out there. But in a nutshell, the products that we've partnered with are health technology. So it actually medical grade water devices that we get from Japan that pretty much transform your regular tap water. And yeah, I won't go into too much depth here, because it's, if you're interested, you can always reach out and we can tell you about it. But if to put it like really layman's, really simple terms, how you can put 91 in your car and your car will run fine. But you put 98 in it and it runs better and it lasts longer and it optimizes the performance. Basically, we're able to now do this with our water. So if your tap water and bottled water that you were drinking before is your 91, well, our Kangen water is your 98.
Yeah,
So,
it has been awesome.
yeah.
And I'm glad I come across it in the last year of, or at least as I was an elite athlete, because man, the recovery that I experienced just from this product alone was unreal. Like, obviously good for hydration, excellent for recovery, and it's got heaps of other little benefits and knickknacks that you can do with this water as well. So it's been really cool. It's turned us into water snobs now. Like, we don't drink and haven't all year drank any other water, not even out of a bottle, no nothing. It's all gone through our water machine. For instance, I got a podium earlier in the year, and our girl from Honda come up with a bottle of water, and I said, "Oh, sorry, I can't do it," because I just know that it gives me stomach cramps, even bottled water now, just after being so clean with the water that we have. So water snobs definitely, but it is amazing, honestly.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, this isn't a sales pitch. This is just us just sharing a little bit about what we're doing now.
Man, we're going off on heaps of tangents.
We are going off on tangents.
Anyway, should we tell everyone
people are interested
what we're doing next? What are we doing next?
Well, what we're doing next is this. That's where we're in.
So we're in the caravan as we're doing this podcast. We are just north of Mackay on a little beach town. What's it called? Halliday Bay. That's where we are. So we are heading north to North Queensland. Yes, we are. And the whole goal, we just love the tropics. Both of us are drawn to it. We like, coconut trees and
mango trees and mangoes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and warm weather. We're just always drawn to North Queensland. And given that we just come out of winter, it's just been the goal to get up there. Now, it is about 6 weeks since Coolum, since I retired, but it's taken this long to actually trek this far north because we just had some things we had to wrap up. But that's fine. It seems like we haven't missed out on too much. North Queensland's still here, so we're trekking up. We're actually probably going to get from here, we're going to boost up 2 cans or even a little bit further because we know the longer we wait, the hotter it's going to get. So we're going to go up and then make our way back slowly as it warms up. And the goal is to be back home by Christmas, or at least around family, because there's a few things, Renae's got family spread out through southeast Queensland. Yeah, we'll do Christmas with the family. Then we're going to get the drawbar extended on the caravan so that we can actually get a motorbike on. Yep. And we're going to get a motorbike that we can both share, which we're excited about because then we can both go for some rides. Pretty sure, ladies, you will see me at a Gemma Wilson ride camp, one of those trail rides. The girls only ride days look amazing. So once we get a bike, I certainly look forward to coming and joining you all on one of those. And I know Dean's got a few different adventures that he wants to go on as well. And then we've got the Pee-wee with us as well for the girls. So we hope to still do a bit of riding. Yeah, we will. We're not fully disappearing. We're not fully doing the trip in the van thing. We are, but we're bringing a bike with us because it is in our blood. DNA. It's in our blood. So, and we're always going to love motorbikes. But we actually wanted to go do those fun things that we've kind of well, Renae's missed out on a lot because she's just been 10/10 with me for 6 years, just pretty much being my right hand girl. So I haven't done that much riding. Haven't done that much riding, and I actually haven't done any of the fun stuff. It's always been work. While I enjoyed it, going for like trail rides and things like that sounds really. And I always get invited by my family or friends and stuff, and I've always knocked it back because I just had too much work to do. But now we get to do all the fun stuff, and we really look forward to it. Yeah, absolutely. No, we're really looking forward to it. Which brings us to the other question that we get asked a lot is, are we going to be doing any motocross coaching and stuff like that on the road? As we just mentioned, we do have our water business and our other business opportunities that we're creating. And so we don't necessarily, it's not going to be a full-time income. We're not going to go big coaches, just chasing clubs and trying to sell our souls to you all. However, we are going to keep ourselves available if there is a lot of knowledge between us after the amount of years that we've spent doing this. And so we are still available for people if you are wanting a specific question or something like that. We do still have the motocross masterclass that we built those a few years ago.
the online training program that we built, that people can is still available for purchase. But yeah, pretty much like as we go around, we're kind of going to play it by ear. So if it happens to be that we're in your area and you really want some coaching, by all means reach out. But other than that, we are living the dream is the plan, pretty much to wake up with no plan. We want to be able to wake up every day and go, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? And again, that's why we love this business model that we've found, because we can do that.
Yeah. And you guys would have gathered that traveling's very high on our, you know, about our list of values, and that's why we're traveling. So we did a lot of traveling with motocross, but it was just flat out on the highway or on the seeing airports and aeroplanes and motels. So now we actually get to take it a bit steady, check out all the cool places around our country. So we want to go do as much as we can around Australia, and when the girls grow up a little bit, we want to do some other stuff around the world as well. So
definitely we'll do some more global trotting after the girls, maybe after they're like 10 or 12 or something. But for now, for the next 6 or 7
I feel like we're gloating a little bit, but we do have the opportunity to do this, which is really cool.
Why are we gloating?
I don't know, because not everyone at this point in time can go and do this.
Yes, but they can, because these opportunities, that's what we're here to tell you.
There is opportunities.
Opportunities everywhere. Do you not remember that conversation that we just had last week with Nick, when he tried to tell us that people don't have opportunities?
Yeah, well,
we call bullshit. Every single person has opportunities. And that is what we're here for. That's why we're going to do this podcast. We're going to share our life experiences. We're going to share the knowledge of the people that we met and the things that we've learned, so that 100% you guys could be able to do what we're doing. And there is, like I said, there's nothing super special about us. We are ordinary people. And but we're just, we work out what we want and we go for it. And so our vision is to be able to help as many people as possible, as many of you listeners or viewers on YouTube or wherever you're watching this or listening to this, but help as many of you to actually do what you want to do. Because it's really quite sad how many people are actually so busy being caught up doing all the things they should do or need to do or have to do, or busy.
Anyway, we're going on another tangent.
But they're missing out on being able to do what they want to do.
That is true. That is true.
And so, we want to help you do what you want to do. So we're not gloating. We're showing what's possible.
But join us, because well, if there's one thing I've been good at, is finding a way to do whatever I want to do. That's my thing. And given that I don't want to do motocross, I just want to hang out and do whatever it is I want to do. And at the moment, it's hanging out with the family and traveling. So very lucky, fortunate, or open-minded enough that we found something to give us the ability to do that. So,
and I think the other really big thing for us, to just wrap this up in a nutshell of our vision and what we're trying to create, is for both of us, I think we've spent a long time being kind of serious Sam. Like, anyone who knows us kind of knows us as, they just work, we just get stuff done, or we've got an eye on a prize of where we're going, what we're trying to achieve. And where this time we kind of, there's different goals and visions within the business and how we want to grow it. But at the end of the day, there's not that same tunnel vision. It's so different. It's like our goal now is about finding joy and being able to bring that joy and excitement and the fun out of us again. Because, and this might be a tangent, I don't know, but, when you're a kid, like, I watch our girls and they just ooze pure joy. Like, when they're playing, when they're giggling, you can feel it. It's like magnetic. And I'm like, at what point did we stop doing that? At what point did we stop, feeling that same level of joy over finding a stick on the ground? When did we get so serious about life? And so I guess, that's kind of where we're at, is we're like, how do we reclaim that as adults, reclaim that energy?
Yep. Just look at the kids. They've got it all worked out.
Yeah.
No, but that's another thing. I was very serious racing, and my kids are just a ball of fun, And I want to do that too. It's just hang out with them, have fun, hang out with my buddies, family a bit more, and just enjoy my time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we think we're teaching the kids, but really the kids are teaching us.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I don't even know how long we've been talking for, but probably a while.
Yeah,
so
let's wrap it up.
We'll wrap it up.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed. Well, it's not Renae's first podcast, but it is the first time that I've been on. It's the first one for me.
Our first one as the Team Ferris Pod, which, as you can see, we didn't actually have that much structure to it. We just kind of spoke. So we'll listen back and hopefully it, made some sense. But yeah, anyway, we'll be back next Wednesday with some more.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say, drop some comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, below the podcast or however you do it. And let us know what you want to hear or want to chat around.
Yeah. What do you want to learn? What would you love to know? Great opportunity for Q&A. Also feel free to send us a DM on Instagram. We're pretty easy to find, and they'll be in the show notes. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.